right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome inside the Fan Cave, and a thank you to the viewers here on KDKA Plus, as well as those of you who are listening on 93.7 The Fan. Call us at 412-575-2600. That's the hotline number. You can also hit me up on Twitter. It's at KDPomp. On a weekend where the Pirates sweep the New York Mets, and they made it look easy, and the Mets came in with the best ERA in the National League coming into this weekend, and they leave by giving up 30 runs, and it was not pretty at all. A lot of people from New York were here to watch this. They saw instead 3 blowout wins for the Pirates, including today. And Mike Burrows, boy, he did well in 4+ innings. He had 2 quick strikeouts, hit 98. That's the hardest he's thrown all year. And he pitched in a bullpen session on Wednesday, so they didn't expect him to go too far in this game. This is a big hit. Bottom of the first, 2 in scoring position. Ke'Bryan Hayes with 2 strikes on him, drops a single to center, scores 2. But more importantly, it extended the inning, and it allowed people to come up like O'Neal Cruz. And he followed this with a home run. It's a 2-run shot, his 14th, part of his 2-home-run day. And this is why you don't give up on that guy. He's got too much potential. Then it's Tommy Pham who's suddenly come to life, and he hits a home run. He's had a really good weekend this weekend against the Mets. That made it 5-0 in the first. And then later, when it was 6-1, this is Brian Reynolds, hotter than a 4th of July firecracker. I mean, he has been red hot, and so is Cruz in this game, his second of the game. That made it 10-1. The Pirates go on to win 12-1, and they sweep that team, doing it in phenomenal fashion, outscoring them 30-4. So the Mets are now 3-13 in their last 16 games. They got problems. They had a team meeting yesterday. Didn't seem to matter today as the Pirates got on them early and often. So now the Pirates welcome in the Cardinals for the first of 3. That's tomorrow at PNC Park. 412-575-2600 is the number to call. We'll talk about that. And also what Ben Cherington does, not just with the draft, but more importantly, the trade deadline. That's coming up at July 31st. And the Pirates reportedly, according to Jeff Passan, who talked to Jason Mackey on 93.7 The Fan earlier in the week, he said that basically 3 guys are untouchable. That would be Paul Skeens. He did include O'Neal Cruz and Andrew McCutchen. I think McCutchen is one of those guys who's not going to go anywhere. He wants to finish it out here, and he's having a really good year. So the question is, with the guys who are available, what does Ben Cherington do? They still need bats. This weekend notwithstanding, this is one of those maybe aberrations. But it goes to show you when you have offense, the pitching can just exhale a little bit and just relax. And they did. And they only gave up 4 runs in 3 games. They've been the strong point of the season all season long. And with some hitting, you could win a lot more games. So it will be interesting to see. And if you believe Ben Cherington is in a position where his job may be in jeopardy, then I wonder how much actual say he will have. If he wants to pull off a really big move, would Bob Nutting let him do it, knowing that he may not be around at the end of the season? I'm not sure how that works out, but I think it's an interesting concept to think about. Want to hear from you on that one at 412-575-2600. Now, the Penguins, as you know, drafted a bunch of guys this weekend, more so. And it indicates, if you're watching this, that Kyle Dubas is really in the rebuild mode. And there's no question. But it leads to a question following the draft. All of these prospects coming in, and for the next 2 years, they have more picks than anyone else. What does this mean for guys like Sidney Crosby? You know, I hate to think that we saw Crosby in the playoffs for the last time in his career here in Pittsburgh. You know how good he still is, and yet he hasn't made it for 3 straight years. And now this year, they're not going to be looked at as a playoff team, considering they are in this, quote, rebuild of some sort. And then what about next year? At that point, you won't have Malkin around. The question is, what do you do with veterans like Brian Rust, like Rickard Rakell? Certainly with them on the team, playing with Sidney Crosby or in a top 6 role, you can, certainly put some production there and make a team that could be competitive. Who knows? But they still have goaltending issues. They have a lot of other issues as well. They need to get more physical, a better defensive mindset. You got a new coach in Dan Muse. I think this is going to be very interesting to see how it plays out and what they will do, because free agency begins on July the 1st. And normally you get some trades associated with that. I think Erik Karlsson is in a position where he could be moved, although he has a $5 million bonus coming up on July the 1st. I think it is July the 1st. What do they do with him? And he has a no movement clause. Would he be willing to move? These are all questions that are going to be fascinating to see. And the other thing that we saw this week, too, the NHL and its players agreed to, very quietly, by the way, they got the work done, a salary extension, a CBA extension. They made some amendments to it. The season will be extended by 2 games. I don't think anyone wants to hear that, but it's 84 games now. Exhibition season reduced to 4 games. And there's some other things in there as well, but they pretty much took care of business quickly, which leads to the question, what will baseball owners and its players do next December when their CBA expires? There are a lot of people who believe there could be a lockout. What will happen? What do you think should happen? 412-575-2600. That's the number. We have the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown tonight after the late news. KDKA, Jason Mackey and Mark Caboli will join me. We hope you watch that after the late news on KDKA. Right now, though, I invite you to call 412-575-2600. Call me. Want to air your opinions? Do it right now as we are live with the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call right here on KDKA Plus, as well as 93.7 The Fan. Give us a shout right now. Welcome back. This is our Xfinity tweet of the night from Greg Harvey. And look at these numbers here. This is pretty remarkable. MLB teams since 1901 to score 30-plus runs, allow 4 or fewer runs, and strike out 25 batters in the 3-game series. Pirates this weekend against New York, that's it. They're the only team to accomplish this against one of the best hitting teams in the majors. However, a team right now that is slumping badly and has fallen behind the Philadelphia Phillies into second place in their division. That's remarkable, and that's why you never know what you're going to see in sports. Just the other night, Sonny Gray of the Cardinals, he made a masterpiece too. An 89-pitch complete game, 1-hit shutout, 11 strikeouts. No player ever has done that, and he did it. 89 pitches in a 9-inning complete game shutout. Man, that's Greg Maddux type of work right there, how fast he did it. I should have looked at the time of game. Jeremiah Miller, our producer, maybe you could find that out. I wonder how fast that game went by, because with the pitch clock and 89 pitches, I imagine it was probably done in less than 2 hours. 412-575-2600. Let's go to the phone lines, beginning with Nick in Indiana, who joins us right now. Hello, Nick. How are you?
Hi, Bob. I got a question. Is Aaron Rodgers signing a real bargain? What's his contract details?
Well, it's like $13.5 million with bonuses that could take it to $20 million. I mean, the Steelers have not spent a lot of money on their quarterbacks over the last several years because they've been kind of just makeshifting their way around ever since Roethlisberger left. But they still would love to have that problem. Have a franchise quarterback you're paying big money to and never have to worry about quarterback for the next 10 years. That's what they're searching for. This is a one-year fix, just like last year was supposed to be. Whether or not Aaron Rodgers gets it done remains to be seen, but I know this. I mean, the one thing he has is a 20-year NFL brain that knows how to get it done in down and distance situations, especially when he has the advantage, meaning 2nd and 4, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2. He can do a lot of great stuff. His release is still quick. His arm still works. You know, he's not as fast as he once was, and getting out of his own way can be a problem at times, which puts the emphasis on the offensive line. But listen, you put DK Metcalf in that lineup, and they still need another receiver, I think, to complement him. But Calvin Austin's made his way to where he should be considered. Roman Wilson is a very talented kid. We'll see what he can do after he missed all of last year. And Troy Fautano at right tackle missed all of last year. So these are like new players coming into the fold, but it's not going to be easy in their division. But I can see a scenario where they win, 10 games or more maybe if everything goes right for them. And that includes a defense which has to get better at allowing rushing yards, because they were just bad down the stretch against it. Jimmy from Point Breeze is on the air right now. What's up, Jimmy? How are you?
I'm good, Pomp. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Hey, quick shout out to Chuck in Uniontown. Really cool article they put out about him. Man's a legend. He's like the Stan Savern of sports call, except from the radio.
From the other side,
end,
right.
Except from the host end. But my real question was, IKF, it seems inevitable he'll be traded at the deadline. So what do you think the Buccos do at shortstop? Do you think they move Nicky G over to shortstop and bring up Nick York and put him at second base? Do you think they just plug Triolo in? What do you think they do there moving forward? Also, RIP the E-Bug. Sorry to hear that go.
Yeah. Thank you, Jimmy, for the call. As far as shortstop, first of all these expiring contracts, they're the easy trade to make for Ben Cherington. You're not going to get all that much for these guys. And IKF is one of them. He's played well for them. Unless they feel that they have other options, down the road here next year or the year after, it's short, I wouldn't be opposed to bringing him back for another year. However, most likely he will be traded. Triolo could be an option there. I don't know if I'd move Nick Gonzalez. I like the way he's playing, and I like him at second base. Peguero is a guy that I would have expected to be up here and contributing more because he was included in one of those trades where he was a big name, much like Roansy Contreras was, or Hudson Head, or Eddie Yeen, all these guys we heard about, but they didn't really pan out, and that's the danger of when you acquire prospects. I would like Ben Cherington to acquire major league sticks, guys who've been around, whether they're young and trending in the right direction, or somebody else. But will he be able to do that at this trade deadline? I'm not sure, but down the road, they have some other options who can play shortstop, but they're not ready to play. So I guess at this point, Triolo would be a logical choice over there. York, as you mentioned, but again, I'd rather keep Gonzalez at second base. All right, let's go out to Ron and Jeanette. Hello, Ron. How are you today?
Hey, Bob, I just had a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Will they ever do the sharing the TV money like they do in the NFL, or will the Pirates always be stuck with having a bottom feeder? Can they share the same money that the Yankees get?
Ron, that's a good question. And it's one of the things they're going to be talking about at the end of next year. The CBA expires at the end of next year. And then what happens? There are a lot of people, and I'm one of them, who think it's probably time for a lockout in order to get things in that direction. Now, it will depend on how many owners believe that that's the right thing, because the teams that are spending all the money, for example, the Mets owner right now, he doesn't care what he spends. And I'd love to have that situation here where you have a guy who's willing to do whatever it takes. They gave Juan Soto $700+ million. They gave Lindor $300+ million. They gave other guys on that team hundreds of millions of dollars. He's willing to do what it takes, and you can bet that if the Mets continue to struggle at the trade deadline, they will make big trades. But when you have payrolls of $400 million versus less than $100, something's wrong, and you can never really, honestly, unless it all works out, contend. I've always believed that. There have been exceptions to that, certainly, and Cleveland's one of them. They've done it, but in a division that largely has some play that I don't think is all that good. There are ways to do it. As long as you draft well, you should be able to compete. But if you don't, a level playing field economically would certainly help the playing field on the field itself. I think that's what you need. And I don't know how far they're willing to go. I don't know who blinks first. If they're looking for a floor and a salary cap, and I think a lot of people in baseball think that would be the best thing, they may have a hard time doing it. And then you'll see some, if the owners crack and give in, then the players win, and you'll see more of these kinds of contracts. I understand why players want things as they are, because you can make a lot of money in a hurry. But for the betterment of the game, to eliminate the moniker small market, I don't want to see that. You don't see it in any other sport. You don't see football. You don't see people in Pittsburgh saying, oh, this is small market Steelers. You don't see people in Green Bay saying, oh, this is a small market Green Bay Packers. No, they're not. They're major league teams. They're teams that should be looked at and viewed equally. 412-575-2600 is the number to call. By the way, a previous caller mentioned that article. It was Jason Mackey who wrote it about Chuck in Uniontown. And Chuck, hope you're doing well. I think it was great to get some exposure of what you have gone through, all the things you do, and why you're such a Pirate passionate fan. The other thing we're talking about, too, is what the Penguins do. And I want to bring that up again because Sidney Crosby's sitting here waiting to get in the playoffs. As a fan of the game, you would want Sidney Crosby to be in high-leverage games, right? The Penguins need to do it. They make more money when that happens. And so far, for 3 years in a row, that has not happened. So they do have veterans on their team who, if you give them the right complement of players, you can make a scenario where they could get in. And that's the whole thing, just get in. But it hasn't happened in 3 years, and I think this year, looking at that roster, it may be difficult to do it again. So what do? Do they keep Russ? Do they keep Raquel? Do they keep Carlson, even though I think that's going to be a hard trade to make unless you're willing to eat some money? And they may be willing to do just that. But the problems also lie in goal. We haven't seen Tristan Jarry be the kind of goalie they expected him to be. Do you trust him to come back and do the things he's supposed to? They led the league in first goals allowed on first shots this year. Like 15 times a team scored on their first shot on goal. You can't have that. So that's going to be something to watch. I think Murashov, I think Blomqvist, the two young goaltenders, they're not ready to play. And I suspect they won't be ready to play this year. But it also goes to show you that I think Murashov was like a third-round pick. You can get value in the second, third, and fourth rounds if you do it right. Certainly, guys like Letang, I think, was a third-round Rust was a third round. Gensel was a third round. Sometimes you look at these and you say, oh, wow, after the first round, there's not much available. Well, if you do your homework, there can be. And I think hopefully the Penguins will come up with some of those guys in this and previous drafts. 412-575-2600. We'll take a break, come back with more. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We're live on KDKA Plus and 93.7 The Fan.